The History of Egypt, Chaldea, Syria, Babylonia, and Assyria, Volume 2, by Gaston Maspero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Section 1 of History of Egypt, Volume 2, by Gaston Maspero. Chapter 1 The Political Constitution of Egypt, Part 1. Between the Fayoum and the apex of the delta, the Libyan range expands and forms a vast and slightly undulating tableland, which runs parallel to the Nile for nearly 30 leagues. The great Sphinx Harmachis has mounted guard over its northern extremity ever since the time of the followers of Horus. Hewn out of solid rock at the extreme margin of the mountain plateau, he seems to raise his head in order that he may be the first to behold across the valley the rising of his father the sun. Only the general outline of the lion can now be traced in his weather-worn body. The lower portion of the headdress has fallen, so that the neck appears too slender to support the weight of the head. The cannon shot of the fanatical Mamelukes has injured both the nose and beard, and the red colouring which gave animation to his features has now almost entirely disappeared. But in spite of this, even in its decay, it still bears a commanding expression of strength and dignity. The eyes look into the far-off distance with an intensity of deep thought, the lips still smile, the whole face is pervaded with calmness and power. The art that could conceive and hew this gigantic statue out of the mountain-side was an art in its maturity, master of itself and sure of its effects. How many centuries were needed to bring it to this degree of development and perfection? In later times a chapel of alabaster and rose granite was erected alongside the god. Temples were built here and there in the more accessible places, and round these were grouped the tombs of the whole country. The bodies of the common people, usually naked and uncoffined, were thrust under the sand, at a depth of barely 3 feet from the surface. Those of a better class rested in mean rectangular chambers, hastily built of yellow bricks, and roofed with pointed vaultings. No ornaments or treasures gladdened the deceased in his miserable resting place. A few vessels, however, of coarse pottery contained the provisions left to nourish him during the period of his second existence. Some of the wealthy class had their tombs cut out of the mountain-side, but the majority preferred an isolated tomb, a mastaba, comprising a chapel above ground, a shaft, and some subterranean vaults. From a distance these chapels have the appearance of truncated pyramids, varying in size according to the fortune or taste of the owner. There are some which measure 30 to 40 feet in height.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?